Hello, y'all. Hope everybody's doing okay today. I'm almost to my destination, but I just couldn't. I gotta get this. I gotta get this out. And what I want to get out is that as humans, specifically Americans, right now we just live in just such. We just live in a bubble. We are all confined and just. We live in illusion. We live in illusion. We live in information bubbles. We live in we live in a time like no other else that we know of in history. There's so much shit going on right now, and it's not good stuff. It's not good stuff, okay? And it's not... The times ahead are likely not to be great for the world, for a lot of people. And the shitty thing is that it's going to be way shittier for the people who aren't in America. What we think is shit is, maybe 80% of the world's on normal day. We love violence as a race, as a human race, as an organism, as a life form. We love violence. We love war. Chaos is the norm in history, right? Peace is an outlier in history. This is one thing that I say all the time, that if you look at history, peace is an outlier. Honestly, since World War II, we've lived, and especially the last 30 to 40 years, we've lived through relatively the most peaceful time and prosperous and I don't know, we've just lived through the most peaceful and prosperous time in the last 40 years than probably in ever. And we just, when you live in it and you're surrounded by that environment, you become normalized to it. And then when the environment starts shifting and changing like it is now, on a geopolitical, in the world stage, on an economic stage, on a psychological stage, on a demographical stage, on a physical health standpoint, people get defensive. Their walls because nobody has an open mind anymore. Everybody's so confined and secluded in their own mind, in their own bubble and it's really not even their fault. They're just a product of their environment, right? That's really what we are. And when your environment is waking up and fucking eating a Pop-Tart and scrolling on TikTok for 2 hours, brain rotting yourself, going to work, and then going home, grabbing fucking Chick-fil-A on the way home, and then watching Netflix all night, the fuck do you expect? And that's like a lot of people, a large percent of the population are doing that. But it's become normalized. This behavior has become normalized. So when I sit here and I talk about all the problems in the world and everything that's going on, and I seem like, sometimes I feel like I'm like, oh, I'm such a negative person. I'm such a, I'm a doomer, man. Why am I talking about all this stuff? And then I realize, because it's fucking happening. And the people who want to sit here and ignore it and tell themselves it's going to be okay, that's actually really shitty. It's really shitty, because especially for fathers and people who are responsible for the lives and the well-being of others. Like, it's your responsibility to confront reality and fucking accept it, and to look it in the face and be like, okay, this is what's happening, this is the environment that we're heading into, this is the environment we're in now, and what changes do I need to make in order to adapt? Well, first of all, in order to adapt to it, you need to become aware of it. So you need to learn about it, you need to accept it, and then you need to learn about it. And that's what I've been doing the last few years. And I've learned so much about it now that it's almost in my head, it's inevitable. These changes are inevitable. Chaos is rising, right? We've been, everything is balanced between chaos and order in the universe, right? There's a balance, and this is, you see this in everything, right? Everything is binary. There's two of everything, and they're the complete opposite of each other, right? There's good and evil, there's plus and negative, there's heaven and hell, there's yin and yang, right? And that applies to everything, right? Forward, backwards, left, right. Like, when you think about it, it makes sense. And we've been at order. We've been in a, relatively, like, we've been in a time period of order for a while now. Decades, at least. Yes, there's been little fucking dinky wars here and there, and the war on terror, and the fucking invasion of Iraq that was all for nothing. Saddam Hussein never had fucking weapons of mass destruction. It was all bullshit. Those weren't really major wars, right? They were, the casualties were in the thousands. Okay, that's not, and it was all puppeteered. It was all fake. A real war is Russia-Ukraine war, which nobody seems to talk about, which is the most casualties in a war since World War II. Okay, casualties are over 1 million in that war. Over 1 million. And it's not stopping. There's no signs of it stopping. It's a war of attrition. There's literally trench warfare going on right now between, these are not little third world countries either. These are nation states, and they're with powerful militaries and support from other countries, right? It's basically a proxy war. It's the U.S. versus Russia, but we're using Ukraine as our means of fighting them. But that's another video. But yeah, I think every day now we're heading more into chaos, and that's just the way it is. It's inevitable. And no sitting here on the internet complaining or whining about what's happening on the world, or making posts about, oh, this is how we gotta fix it, we gotta try to change now, there's still hope, like everything's gonna be okay. No amount of posting that is gonna, or thinking about that, is gonna change everything. It's not gonna change anything. No single individual has the power to change a universal force so large. Like, it's gonna happen because that's the way things work. And it's an oscillator. You oscillate, the universe oscillates between order and chaos, and over time. The only way to stop that is to stop time, and I don't think we're stopping time anytime soon. At least not that I'm aware of. That would be fucked. But yeah, I think this war is only going to get worse. It is getting worse. Like, you can look at whatever you want on the news, and you can feed yourself whatever information you want to, and you can always find information to support your own perspective, in your own argument. You can always do that. But if you look at the facts right now, and you look at the data, and you look at what's actually happening, this war is just going to get worse. I mean, you can't even negotiate with Iran because you fucking killed all their leadership. Their command and control structure is a fucking disaster. They have no officials that you can even communicate with. And why would any officials that are left on the other side, they're all hiding. And why would they come out and communicate? Because they'll get found and they'll be killed in a fucking airstrike or by a fucking CIA or Mossad agent. But then we're like, so how are we supposed to negotiate to end the war when we just killed all the people you negotiate with? If we got in a war with somebody, an adversary that was formidable enough to take out all of our leadership, and they did, and then they're sitting here like, oh, we want to negotiate with you. Well, who's left to negotiate? Say you killed all of our, you killed the fucking Senate, you killed Trump, you killed all the, you killed all the heads of state. It's just chaos. Who's supposed to step up then? Nobody wants to, because they think they're going to get killed. So it's just a disaster, If we wanted to end the war quickly and actually do successful negotiations, we wouldn't have fucking taken out their whole leadership. We wouldn't have taken out all their officials, right? We would have destroyed so many things and then been like, hey, if you guys don't negotiate with us, we're going to destroy this too, We would have basically blackmailed them, but it could have worked, Now Iran, Iran is going to be chaotic for decades to come now. It's not going to just recover from this. There's not just going to be some democratic government that just pops up out of nowhere and just everything is fine and it runs the country and takes over everything. That's just wishful thinking. It's just not true. And now we have Trump. The big news of today, and I wasn't going to get too much into the market today, but I will a little bit. The big news of today is that's not being shown on the news is that Trump cancels the China summit that he was supposed to have in, I think, a week or two. And he pushed it back 5 or 6 weeks because of the war. That was his excuse. He's like, I need to be in the White House for the war. Bro, you literally just tweeted out, you put on the news that the fucking war was basically over a week ago. And now you're saying you can't go and meet Xi Jinping in China, which is the fucking huge meeting. It's a critical meeting for the world. And you can't because you got to stay in the White House for the war? Dog. What the fuck are you talking about? So, and Trump is he's a businessman. He would never be late to anything. He's very serious. If he tells somebody he's going to meet them, he's going to meet them. And so him canceling this meeting and pushing it back, to me, is not a good signal. Okay? Especially when tensions are very high. China is still getting oil through the Strait of Hormuz. They're the only ones. And now he's canceling this meeting with them. And China's been they were running some pretty extreme airspace, aerial drills over Taiwan, I think last week, ahead of the summit, ahead of the meeting, and now Trump cancels it. I don't know. I don't like that. China is the relationship between the U.S. and China is the linchpin to the world. It's the linchpin to chaos. If they take that pin out, chaos unleashes. If China goes after Taiwan, you're opening Pandora's box. You really are. The market will crash for sure, right? Because the semiconductor industry and AI is literally the only thing that's been holding it up for the last fucking year. The market's been going up on basically hope and pure hope and speculation that AI is going to take over the world, and all this spending for AI and semiconductor infrastructure and data centers. If Taiwan gets invaded and we cut off that chip supply to the world from TSMC, who is the fucking key to the entire industry, which is retarded to have it on a fucking island next to China. Like, that's just, I mean, it's so fragile. And if that happens, like, I don't fucking know what would happen. You know, it'd be bad. So that's something to keep an eye on, that they canceled that meeting. Not good. If the market sells, honestly, it's probably because of that. Yes, inflation was a little bit higher today. No fucking shit. But you know what, guys? If they end up raising rates again, the market could actually go higher for longer. And everyone's going to be like, oh, well, how's that possible? If they're raising rates, that's super bad. Like, raising rates, the market falls. No, it's the fucking opposite, guys. Like, it's so annoying when you look on Twitter and all you see is, oh, the market's going to soar, they're cutting rates. I'm like, dude, rate cuts are not fucking bullish, bro. They're not bullish. You only cut rates because the economy is fucking struggling. The real life economy is struggling. If you overlay rates, interest rates over any chart, like, when they're cutting rates, the market's fucking falling, bro. The market has a correction. A large correction. When they raise interest rates, actually, it goes up most of the time. So what I think could happen is maybe we get a little correction. We're going to get a correction this year, 15 to 20% probably. 10% bare minimum, 10%, 100% guaranteed this year. But what I'm thinking is maybe if they do raise rates, initially the market sells, the war escalates, we get a 15 to 20% drop this year, and then they raise rates, and they raise rates for like until 2027 sometimes, and the market fucking climbs up while they're raising rates. Not a lot. It's not going to do anything crazy. Maybe it just climbs up to a double top after the correction, because markets somehow they when you're raising rates, they go up, and then we get a giant bear market, and back half of 2027 into 2028, when 2028 tends to be Republican election year. The fourth year of Republican cycle is the weakest out of all 8 years, so that would make sense. Or we just rip the Band-Aid off and get it all over with this year. I don't feel like that's going to happen. They like to kick the can down the road. Trump doesn't want to look too bad. He's going to hold it up for as long as he can. But he can only hold it up so much, right? I mean, so, yeah, some things to think about there. We've got to be real with ourselves here, Let's look at what's happening in the world objectively. Let's look at the real information. Don't look at some fake shit. Stop watching the fucking legacy news. Don't even listen to any politicians. Like, you need to be getting your information from credible sources. And when you start putting it all together, we're not heading in a good direction. I'm sorry. I don't know if you want, if you want to go hug a tree, if that'll make you feel better, then do it. But I just feel like it's better to be aware of it than to pretend it's not happening. Because then, if something actually does happen, I mean, you're going to be fucking traumatized and not know what to do, because you've been shoving your head up your own ass voluntarily for the whole time that it was coming. I mean, so, yeah. Y'all take it easy, and I'll probably post another update soon, so have a good day.